Aloha and welcome to another episode of Aloha Authentic with Kamakapili, Hawaii's only TV show where we feature our own local artisans and cultural practitioners and our kupuna and share their ike, their knowledge, their mana'o with you in the comfort of your own home so you can get a little bit more educated in a well-rounded way when it comes to Hawaiian culture and the stories of our artists. Here sitting with Taupōuri Tangarō, who is a Kumu Hula at the Hawaii'i Community College here in Hilo. We're on location, if I didn't say that, we're here on location on Hawaii Island to capture his story of a Kumu Hula, to capture his story of Hula, but being in such a unique position, bringing Hula and this essence of immersed Hawaiian culture within our college system here in Hawaii Island. I think it's such a really cool perspective to look at Hawaiian culture and hula in today's very fast-paced Western world. So I don't want to get too muskratty and to get too off topic and just talk, but I want to just get right into the conversation. Mahalo Tangarō again for allowing us to be, especially in this beautiful space of yours. But there's so much questions I want to get into. But to start off, to kind of share with us your background, where you come from, and the background of your journey in hula that got you to today's position.
My father still lives in Waiahole. My mother's from Ka'alaia, so I was born and reared in Ko'olaupoko, the area that is generally called Kahalu'u, which extends over a number of ahupua'a, and that's my Aina Kamali'i. Moved to Hilo in 1974 when I was 11 years old. And at age 19 in Hilo is when I began dancing with Halau Kekuhi. And that would be my, and I've really only danced with, when I say Halau, formal training. And so I only have that experience, that's my primary experience. And I started in, when I was 19, and 2007 I unikied, so after like 25 years.
I know a lot of times now people expect hula to be so fast, you know, just like college, you 4 years, you're in and out. But hula, like you said, 20, 25 years. What is, to give a little bit of a taste for those out there who may have never danced, what does it take, or what does your journey of 20 years include?
Oh my goodness. It includes, you know, most people think hula is choreography. It's really a whole culture. Choreography is the piece of the culture that is seen by the outside world. But choreography, I would say, is really only like 20% of what hula is. There's a whole background culture that's going, how to act within an intergenerational system. How do you evolve something sacred? Because it has to evolve. If we only did it exactly as it was done 200 years ago, one, that would be impossible. But two, you know, it would die. We have to evolve it. It's the law of nature to evolve. But how you evolve takes 20 years to sort of figure out when, you know, when you can do this, when you can do that, when is innovation acceptable, when is it become questionable. So this, and you know, hula is interesting because you never know exactly. You know when you did right because they keep making you do it. But you never know you do wrong until you step. And the teachers are right there, or someone, your teacher's peers, will be there to, in my case, guide me gently. So yeah, it's what people see in hula, that's only the frosting. There's a whole understory there, and it's not easy.
So you mentioned you've been with Halau Kekuhi, and in the past clips, we've talked about different halaus or different sources of knowledge telling one story in a different way in their own lineage or their own traditions. Where or what is the tradition? Where is the lineage that Halau Kekuhi comes from?
Oh, you know, the primary foundation is the hula pele. It's the primary foundation, but they've also, and it comes from their grandmother, whose name is Kekueva, and she was an ahiena. People know her as Grandma Fuji. She married after her first husband passed and married a Japanese man, but she's 100% Hawaiian. Hula pele is it, from the traditions of Ka'u and Puna. But Edith also danced with, and Unikid also from Akoni Mika. So we have a Kauai, you know, there is, you know, a Kauai line. And then Pua Kanahele's mother-in-law is from, you know, she learned hula from Puaha'a Hill and an Uniki graduate. So we inherited those legacy dances from that line. So when you, so the primary foundation is the pele, but upon that foundation are other contributions. And me, myself, I inherited a number of dances from the Kili'i rice shell line. So, you know, we're all engrafted. you just got to know your primary foundation, because if you don't know the primary foundation, it's a little hard to keep categorized. Everything can get easily mixed. So you know your primary foundation, and then it's like a forest. The lava is there, and then there's all the different kinds of trees on it, and that's it.
Oh, I like that. So who is Pele? If you can share.
Yeah. Well, one, she's not the woman on the side of the road smoking a cigarette in a red dress, like, you know, like somebody forgot to pick her up to go to the prom or something. That's not the Pele I know. The Pele we're trained to know and we're introduced to for many, many years is the earth we stand on, is the lava. We you know, to dance barefoot on fresh lava is one way we get introduced to Pele. You know, to dance in the cold of the volcano region is another form of Pele. The rain, the heavy rains, the lightning, the sulfur that makes our eyes itchy and our nose, you know, all runny. That's Pele also. So, you know, we live in the Pele. She's not a person on the side of the road looking for a ride. For some, she is. But for us, she's the environment that we live in.
So, you know, here in Hilo, you have created here at Hawaiian Community College this whole track of hula, and to give students from around the world different perspective of our culture and hula in general. What was your journey that it took for taking hula in something that's so esoteric, something that some people have a hard time grasping onto, to create a curriculum around that?
It's a good, very, very good question. Well, first of all, I wasn't planning to become a professor of Hawaiian studies, and hula would be the foundation. My life, I planned to just dance hula all my life. I never thought to be a kumu hula. I never aspired to that kind of slave work, because it's really, when I looked at my kumus, I'm like, you know, I worshiped them and I applauded them, but I never wanted to become them, because I wasn't willing to sacrifice that much to that. I just lived as a dancer. This question is related to what we've started here at Hawaii Community College, and I say we, it's plural, so I might be the name, but it is a number of people behind this establishment of a degree in Hawaiian Studies focused on hula. In 2001, I think we had the first Aha Hula, Halawaula Hula Conference, and the Pua Kanaka Ole Kanahele was a lead in that. After the conference, she sat down with myself and Kikuhi, my wife, and said, you know, the choreography of hula is worldwide and it's not threatened. Yeah, it has its pluses and its minuses and its strengths and its weaknesses, but hula will live, that choreography, that part of the culture will live. But one of the things that she was concerned that was perhaps a health call was that there was a part of hula that was not being explored, and that was the ritual. That was all of the esoterics, all the behind. We've just said, yeah, it's sacred, and we left it there. But she wanted us to enter into that sacredness. Why is it sacred, and how can that sacredness contribute to the well-being of indigenous Hawaii? And if it contributes to the indigenous of the world, then let it be. But, you know, really Hawaii, she knew that if hula was just a choreographical form, it would be risked. We needed to understand the underpinning, the pele, the foundation of it. So she asked me to teach hula. I'm like, I don't like teach hula because I'm a perfectionist. I don't like look at people over here looking funny, kind of like that. You know, how do you teach? You know, in halal, you can tell people, no, you go back to this class. But in college, you gotta, it's open policy. You can just come in, they pay the tuition, they're in there, and you gotta look at that. So what I did was, it took me a number of years, and you know, to figure it out. But what I did was, I looked at indigenous leadership through hula. So the choreography was not the end, was not the reason for it coming together. The choreography, the hula, the choreography was just a door into looking at indigenous well-being, looking at leadership, indigenous leadership. So I use hula to, and you know, hula requires the entire body to participate. Both brains, sides of the brains, that we call it hemispheric synchronization. The left and the right has to be in balance. So unlike a regular college course where only a part of the brain is used, hula involves the entire person. So it made every sense to teach or to explore indigenous leadership using the entire body. as you know, and we do, and it's worked. People leave. You know, we have good dancers, we have emerging good dancers, we have some people that will never be dancers, but it's not about dancing. It's about stepping into the dance, waking up your entire body and all those ancestors in your body, and begin to ask questions. Who am I? What's my value? What do I bring to my community? When I die, what kind of songs will my community write about me? You know, and so that's the thing about Indigenous leadership. It's never just self-serving. It's always about, what do I contribute to this canoe? You know, when the people came and they migrated here on canoes, everybody in that canoe had something they could contribute as a collective, but everybody had they were responsible over certain unique contributions. And so we use that as a metaphor also. And Hula is a great route into exploring the who am I, what do I bring? When students don't have a voice, or when a person don't have a voice, they become isolated. And once you become isolated, then all kinds of horrible things can happen to you and your family. So Hula is a way of bringing people into the collective, but not losing yourself to the collective, really clarifying what do you bring, what do you contribute to the collective. So that's why it's kind of successful.
And you know, looking at how the demographic of students that you have, and just looking at Hula in general, there is so much more non-Hawaiians who are in Hula and dancers, in my perspective, from what I've seen, than there are Hawaiians. So where or how do you see Hula as, because you talk about waking up your kupuna inside, being able to self-identify who you are. How do you see Hula as a tool of self-identification?
Oh, you know, we just use Hula as a process to begin to look inside. We have a lot of Hawaiians. We have a large number of Hawaiians on our campus. They're the largest ethnic group on our campus. And many of them are coming through. Many of them are mixed. We have a number of Hawaiians coming from the mainland. You know, we have more Hawaiians outside of Hawaii than we have Hawaii. So yeah, we do have foreigners in the culture and taking the degrees, but from the demographics I teach, they're mostly Hawaiian. Okay. But you know, everybody, having blood is one thing. Knowing what to do with it, or knowing how to access it, and knowing how to use the blood to potentiate your service to your community, that's another thing. It takes exercise. So yeah, there's nature and nurture. You're born with, you know, this, but we have to nurture certain traits to come out and to participate, and then also put some traits in dormancy because they don't work. They don't work for you, they don't work for your community. We have to work really, we have to be very, very diligent, because Hula is first Hawaiian. And what we don't want to do is lose Hula to the world. The day come when everybody else is dancing Hula and not the Hawaiian, then something went really wrong. So, and you know what we found? That if it's relevant, if it allows the Hawaiian to be modern, pull from the past something here. Hula is not a way to exit time, the current moment. Hula is a way to clarify it, to help bring sparkle to it. And also to help predict the future, then more people come. But if it's all it is learning this ancient dance, you got to do it this way, exactly this way. If you don't do it, if you do it any other way, then you're going to jeopardize your whole lineage. Who's going to want to pick up that crown and wear it? You know, nobody's going to want to pick it up. Our people will walk away from it. So it's about accessibility. And luckily, there's all kinds of hula. Some hulas will only come down from the family, and it's a family's responsibility to take care of that. Some hulas you have to be adopted into the family. So you can be non-relative and get adopted into it. And then some hulas are created for the greater domain. So, you know, there's not one kind of hula. And we have to know our culture really well so that we don't compromise it. Because if you don't know it really well, we could be giving the most sacred things away to people that may not know how to sustain it. We got to give something. But we don't need to give everything. The good thing is, that's why we create plenty, so we have plenty to give.
Because yeah, I mean, you go to Japan, and there's so much shows, you know, and that's what it is. There's just a lot of shows, and not necessarily the kauna or the feeling behind that. Or Mexico, you know, I've been told Mexico has probably the largest amount of hula dancers. With that, I mean, I'm glad that you brought that up. Sharing, and where is the line of sharing too much and keeping for yourself to malama and protect?
You know, Larry Kimura is one of my professors, and he said it. He says, you know, when you get plenty, you can give. When you know more, hard forgive. So, you know, where is the line? I teach hula in Japan, but what I teach is what I create. Because it's so distant, and the accountability, you know, part of hula, the genealogy, those students got to stay close to me for a number of years. Hula, the more secular, the more public domain, you know, the surface hula, I can share that. But I create so that if they mess up, then it's between them and I, not between them and my ancestors. So, so where is the line? I think everybody will have a personal, I hope people have a personal line, because, you know, part of hula is being accountable. And what you put out into the universe is what you have to answer to. So, but, you know, I like, you know, the great thing about my maturity is I don't care what other people do. That's their kuleana. They have to answer to their aloha. I just have to be aware of what I'm doing, be very awake, and not just give, but give accountably, and teach my students that, you know, you need to create. No use be on big mango tree with no fruit. Poor horet kai, might as well cut them down, make furniture. You know, bear fruit. You know, because the more we can create, the more we can give. And the world needs dance. The world needs aloha. And that's something we can contribute. But again, you know, create so we can give something. If we don't create, we might have to, you don't want to give away your own children.
Unless you necessarily have to.
Unless you have to, you know, the person going to hana your kid is going to hana your child, and, you know, you can give them fully. But, you know, sometimes you meet a person one time in our physical lives, and if you can use hula to awaken that person's spirit, then why would we not awaken the person's spirit?
So what is, with all your students, if it's those who are more, you keep closer to you, or those that, you know, across the seas or wherever it is, what is one thing that you try to at least plant a seed in, or instill within them, you know, if it's within a semester or if it's a year, 5 years, yeah, what do you hope that they walk away with?
Oh my goodness. I hope they walk away with understanding that there's more to the individual person than just the name they were born with. That there are many other names in that body. There's many identities in that body. And if you get, there's plural answers, you have plural characters. So if you become familiar with them, then you know which one to call forward. And, you know, and it doesn't matter if they're Hawaiian or not, because they can go home, wherever their home is. But if they know themselves really well, then they know how to contribute to the well-being of their community, wherever that is. And if hula is the door to explore who you are, then let that be. Some students, I have only one semester, and they still, you know, it moved that one semester, made them better people. Because we try to fix the outside world, but really you can only fix the inside world. And then by the way you live and the way you do things, things around you will begin to get affected. You create more when you're happy. You can see more clearly when you're happy. When one is angry and frustrated, there's a limitation there. So, you know, we do that.
Limitation, you know, kind of going off of that. Being an educator and listening to you just here, I mean, you have so much ike and mana'o and a perspective and an approach for either aspiring college students or current college students who are just so gung-ho and want to learn as much and be so much immersed in culture, so when they come out, they have a career in Hawaiian culture somehow. However, there's always those people who tell you, you know, what you're going to do, what you can do with Hawaiian culture. Hawaiian language, you kind of get a job with that kind of degree. With you and everything that you have established and those who've come before you, what would be your response?
Oh, you know, getting a degree in geography doesn't mean you're going to get a job. Getting a degree in biology or pharmacy doesn't mean you're going to get a job. I think, or getting a degree in Hawaiian studies is not going to, you know, guarantee you're going to get a job. But we encourage people to look at the culture, innovate, create. And why? If, you know, one, figure out what is your passion. And if your passion is being Hawaiian and doing Hawaiian things, then why not pay your mortgage, pay your students' education? Why not buy the car that you want? Why not use your passion to create your life? Sometimes we have a guilt to attach money, money to our culture. And we have to think about that, because I think, why am I going to work for somebody else and my passion is saved for evening activity or weekend activity whenever I have available time? That's tired time. Make your passion, put your effort into it. There's a difference between exploitation. You don't want to exploit because you have to answer to it. But the thing is, create. The ancestors left so much clues. Use it. Create your own line. Create your own approach. I'm not selling hula. I'm actually endorsing hula as a grounds for indigenous leadership. Now, that's not how we learn hula. I had to create that. We learn hula for a whole different purpose, So, what you like to do, what's your passion, and make a life out of it. Throw your whole world into it, all your efforts. Throw it in there, and make a life. And don't feel guilty. Don't go work for somebody else and then complain about you got to do that. And while you have all this talent, you're saving it for your weekend activity because, make a living of who you are and your passion.
With so much, Hawaiian culture, the Hawaiian people are such in a defense mode consistently today when it comes to speaking Hawaiian, when it comes to, a lot of different aspects of our culture in this Western world that we live in. What would be your approach, or how do you see hula, being a tool to combat all of this negativity?
Oh, well, you know what? I cannot speak on behalf of the nation. I cannot speak on behalf of, generalized statements for the Hawaiians, because I think, depending on from what angle you're looking at it, some people might even see it as a positive. This whole language thing in court, I see it as a positive. It takes that's a trigger that causes a whole new consideration. I think we have what we need to have to re-establish, or again, re-clarify who Hawaii is in this period in time. So if we remove the terms positive and remove the term negative, we just have. And I think we're going to do what we need to do to keep the canoe moving forward. And sometimes when a big wave coming from this side, you got to angle the canoe a certain way. And luckily, when we look at Hawaii, the nation, it's a big canoe. And there are people that are skilled, and they're going to step up to the part of the canoe that needs certain kind of care. And so I don't want to give the idea that we're all hunky-dory, because what indigenous group in the world is hunky-dory? I think there will always be tensions, but sometimes tensions can get us to go forward. Sometimes when there's no tension, we have a tendency to be lackadaisical. And so, when the lava coming, people act different. And so when there's a big earthquake, people act different. So I think there's a lot of positiveness happening. And even what people would deem as negative, I think it's actually positive. Great, the language will survive because we'll not let it die. And it's just, now we're just opening up the gate to insist that this will be. It's like people now, can you come and chant for our conference because we need a Hawaiian flavor? Like, no, we don't do that anymore. But I'll train a number of you to chant for your own conference. So, it's just an opportunity to grow further, to dig the roots in deeper, so that no matter what wind blows, the tree won't topple. And so it's a great thing.
That's such a cool answer, because at least trying to find different ways to look at a situation such as that. It's hard to keep your emotions down and
it is, and that's to come. I have to be really aware. And this is what I help my students to understand, is that if we use that colonial vision, there's only one way, this is the right way, only one vision, myopic, the chances are you're going to either like something or not like something. It limits how we can interact. But if we have, like Kamapua, 8 eyes, we can see things from different perspectives. And if we don't like this perspective, then change your angle. And, you know, and so when we look at what it means to have, you know, makakini, to have many, many eyes, you know, when we say we have 4,000 gods, then why are we relating to the world with one eye, like we only have one God? Mm-hmm. We have many ways of looking at our universe. And if this one perspective don't work, then use another one, which means there's limit vision. And we could take something supposedly negative and actually change our angle and see that, wow, this, remove the tag, this activity is creating avenues for us to further the ball.
Mm-hmm. Such a aloha response, which will get us into our last question, which is, and I know the time flew by so fast, in your perspective, with all your experiences and your hula, you know, being hula, what is aloha to you?
Mm-hmm. Really, aloha is when I look at my grandchild and I hold her and I know that I'm holding my ancestor, and I'm holding my wife's ancestors in my hand. Aloha is when I look at you and I know that, yeah, this is Kamakapili and he was my student, but there's more to that. That when I look at you, I see a relative. And aloha is knowing that when I meet someone, I may have met them before. Aloha tells me that this physical life is just a physical life. When the body is old and dies, if you're good, then another body will be given, your spirit will have another body to live in. So I've been around for thousands of years. And when I look at people, even the ones that irritate me, I have to just blur my eyes, cross my eyes a little bit, blur it because they irritate me. But I just change the angle and I get to see something else. Aloha tells me that everybody has a story. Mm-hmm. And figure out the story, then you know the person.
Well, mahalo nui, and I hope, you know, I'm so sorry that time, you know, it was just getting ono and we want to continue to listen, but the time's coming up to a close, so we have to cut it here. But we just want to mahalo nui Tangarō for spending the time and sharing your ike and a different approach and a different angle of looking at hula and different situations in our community today. But I'm very honored and excited to have Tangarō close out our episode today with a little mana in his leo. So with that, mahalo nui, ahui ho.
Ano ai tu veila ta ua tani le hua uanani ele hua la noi loana tahi. Okay, Paul.
Okay, Paul. Mahalo. Aloha, ahui ho.
I didn't know if the words were correct. I was getting nervous. I wasn't prepared for that one.